Raleigh is getting more metropolitan as we speak, and that being said, there's nothing that we love more than the old being new again. Raleigh residents love it when developers who are responsible for building this wonderful city that we live in pay homage to tradition with modern elements that leave you feeling like the new building has been there forever. In today's episode of The Best of Raleigh, we have one of Raleigh's best at doing just this. Today, we have Jim and James Wiley with Beacon Street Development, and I'm personally so excited to share Beacon Street and how this father and son duo is passing down values and carrying on traditions with their new project, Birney Park, and we're going to talk about that and all types of other things. So thank you, Jim and James, for coming today. I appreciate it.
We're excited to be here. Yep.
Welcome to the Best of Raleigh with your host and real estate expert, Gretchen Coley, owner of the Coley Group. This show is all about the people and places that make the Raleigh area so special. Here's your host, Gretchen Coley.
I'm so excited to have you guys, and we got a long history. So we were just talking before the show, and James was actually my son JT's big buddy at school when they were in school together, and he's now all graduated and out into the working world. And you know, we've known each other 16 or so years now, I guess, and it's really been special to watch Beacon Street grow and develop, especially with me being in real estate and the passion for it. And you seem to have such a passion for this, Jim. Like, you really have a great knack for making the new feel like it's been here forever. So tell me a little bit about your inspiration behind Beacon Street.
You know, I think there's sort of two origins. Maybe first, just growing up and something is happening and you don't understand why. Meaning, we grew up about a mile from here at North Hills, but my father's work was in what is now Glenwood South, but he worked there, and we passed through 5 Points multiple times a week. The pharmacy is part of our regular, everyday routine, or preschool at White Memorial, or all sorts of things with Raleigh, the Rialto Theater, just things that continue to sort of give you a sense of, I love this part of Raleigh, but I don't know why. I mean, distinctly remember being young and driving when you would hit St. Mary's Street off of Glenwood, and all of the trees are kind of canopying, and you're just like, wow, this feels great. So I think there's an emotional connection that's happening, and then you travel places. My dad's from Little Washington down on the coast, but very much a great quintessential small town. And there's just something a sense of belonging, an emotional connection that happens. And then
you talk a lot about sense of belonging, and it really is something that needs to be articulated about what you do and what Beacon Street does. Is you create these incredible spaces that really aren't just about how you're going to live inside the four walls. It becomes how you're going to live in the community. And so dial into that a little bit in creating those spaces.
Yeah, I think a big time in sort of our planning history in the United States was in the early 1990s, when I was coming out of college, and the move towards what was called the new urbanism at that time, which was people were looking back going, wow, these old neighborhoods with interconnected streets and sidewalks and mixed uses and cafes and other things, they really have a great lifestyle. The traffic actually works better in those parts of the town.
The kids
people
play in the
love
street.
It. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Kids, I mean, they've got sidewalks that go everywhere. Then you get a little bit of extra brainwashing by watching Cheers or Friends or, Seinfeld, and they're all living in these places where they're known at the diner, the coffee store, or whatever else that is. So I was fortunate to work on a large community in Chapel Hill called Meadowmont that was really trying to recreate this type of neighborhood with the same level of planning. And what you discover behind that is that whether it be the Hayes Barton neighborhood or any of the other early neighborhoods of Raleigh, Oakwood, Bowling Heights, Cameron Park, all these other ones, it was really very thoughtfully planned. They weren't just, they're old and that's why they feel this way. It is how the houses were positioned, how they connected to the street and other things. And so
it is really cool to start at 5 Points and really explore, for lack of a better word, the boroughs that come together to create that, right? And that is one thing that I think that is really special about Raleigh. I went to school in Charlotte. I spent my first of my career there, and I have a special place in my heart for Charlotte, but it doesn't have that same feel. Raleigh's just a little bit different, and I think it started there and then it spawned out. And you've got the bungalows, and
Yeah.
and then you've got, you know, the larger footprint homes that have tree canopied streets and they sit up back off the road. You've got a little bit of everything in those 5 spaces.
Yeah, it is a great melting pot where these neighborhoods come together for sort of all walks of life and people, and just what you're able to experience living there. Once you hit the sidewalk, again, you can, every day, every walk is different. The beauty of the architecture and the yards and the landscape and, you know, and walking by the storefronts.
Yeah.
You know, what you gain is just an experience that doesn't happen in many places.
I agree with you 100%. And Beacon Street and you take stewardship really to heart. And that is something that is such a lost art a little bit when it comes to development. You know, everybody wants to rip down what's old and put up something that's new and shiny. And you hope that it stands the test of time. And I hope that all developers think that what they're going to put out there is going to stand the test of time. But Beacon Street has really taken that and really gone all in on that. So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about, you've said a lot about how it really is important for you to to have tradition here with a town that you grew up in.
Yeah.
So
I think you want to honor these neighborhoods and what made them special. You know, architecture is a backdrop. It's not meant to be sort of the highlight. The neighborhood and the interaction is where the highlight is. And so for us, we just have a deep love for classical architecture, which is where, you know, when these neighborhoods of the early 1920s were built, we're trying to reference back to that and how we build. And we just have a belief that a classic backdrop allows people to then express their personality. So when you come into one of our homes, it might be super contemporary, might be traditional, others, but everybody sort of still loves the soul of an older classical building.
I 100% agree. Like, it never gets old, does
Yeah,
it? Like,
yeah.
and they feel like they've been there forever. So what makes Beacon Street different?
I think really probably the thoughtfulness of how we approach. We explore very deeply. If Cinderella was the analogy, we try on just many ideas, thoughts, scales. We look at other places. I don't believe there's anything new under the sun, and so there's no reason to try to make something completely unique when you can find some great inspiration,
Yes.
whether in another neighborhood or another city, because it's going to become unique by the nature of the place that it's planted again. So we're not trying to mimic anything or a certain style, but we do reach out and learn from a lot of places. We walk a lot of streets.
I love that. And you can tell in your designs. So how do you decide which projects make the cut and which ones don't? Because you've had your thumbprint on some great projects across the triangle.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the right design and the right project needs to be in the right location. And so we're always going to go for the right location and then high quality. And those can be supported in a few places. So maybe one, which I heard from another developer early in my career, is we are looking for non-repeatable sites. If somebody else can go and repeat this, then it's probably not the right spot for us. And that really probably means that the street that it is touching was probably originally built before in the 1920s or before, because that means that there are certain planning principles that were probably attached to that location.
I've never heard that before, but that is such a great way to explain that. And I think, in my mind, a great example of that is the Wade.
Yeah.
Right? And what you did with that building, I remember touring it when it was under construction, just the steel framing alone, and the soundproofing that went into that building was such a beautiful thing. And once the building was finished and I was able to go actually walk through it, it was wild to see that the condos felt like houses
Right.
on the inside.
Yeah.
Like, you closed the door and you didn't realize you were in a condo building.
That might be the most exciting part of what we do, because these lifestyles or these home styles exist in great places we love, whether it's, New York or Boston or, even smaller cities like Charleston. But this apartment building, if you went to New York City, these people grew up their whole life in a building
Yeah.
like this, and they had the same love and the same equivalent of a great single family home. And so the idea that we could bring that type of lifestyle that naturally has a sense of community in the building, which is really special, and people always underestimate how much they're going to love their neighbors, or how much they're going to find somebody that they really connect to, but it's also just an incredible ease of use.
It is, and what a beautiful building, and it's not been replicated, and it probably won't be replicated for a while.
Yeah,
we can all hope.
Yeah.
So I want to transition into James coming into the picture, and this new development that you have, Birney Park, and I want to talk about what's so special about Birney Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to give a little bit of background, I guess, when I was coming out of school, figuring out what I wanted to do, I would not say that coming out of school, I jumped at the idea of coming to Beacon Street. A lot of my school was in the more commercial side of real estate. And so I started out working for a larger developer, which was a fantastic experience. But, one of the things that really drew me towards it was what we were talking about in the stewardship from love. And like, I was thinking, what are the places that I love in Raleigh? And, we go on walks through Hayes Barton a couple times a week.
Yeah.
I love, the interconnectivity. One of the turning points when I was thinking through, is this something I want to do, was my wife and I, we were in Charleston, and we were in the old village of Mount Pleasant. And there was a sense of belonging sitting there. It's a great little spot, the Post House Inn, of like, this is such a cool scale and such a quaint neighborhood. And like, this is something that is not repeatable. And you just get this joy that comes through of like, this would be such a great place to live. And how can we, the joy of getting to then create those places for other people. So I think that in Birney Park, we're really trying to go into a already loved place in Hayes Barton and bring something that's new that truly complements it.
It does.
And adds to it, even with the little bit of retail that we've got on the corner of Oberlin and Fairview. Like, we are talking to everyone that will answer us about what they want to be there, because we want it to be a neighborhood amenity where people feel like they belong, and we want it because that's where we want to go hang out. It's not so it's but just bringing the lifestyle and the buildings and the quaint neighborhood feel that you get in those cities that you love.
And
to go and visit.
This neighborhood, from what I have seen, is definitely an extension of your philosophy. And it's an extension of the neighborhood as well. So it is integrating completely into a beloved neighborhood that's cherished and has been there for a long, long time, and bringing that modern element to it. So tell me a little bit about some of the cool things we're going to see. Yeah.
So, I think that our biggest compliment, and you mentioned this, that we can receive is, wow, that building looks like, when was that building renovated?
Yeah.
We want to bring from an exterior and a street feel something that feels like it was built in the 1920s when Hayes Barton was originally developed. We want it to have sidewalks and intimate streets where you can have a conversation with someone when you're walking your dog, and you get to know your neighbors and the neighbors that are around you. But then once you walk into the building, it's brand new. You get the single family home feel that you have if you bought a lot down the street and walked into it, but you get a lifestyle that is unparalleled and really not seen in many places in Raleigh, where you just got a living experience that is just as functional and nice and brand new, just in a building in a neighborhood that's so unique.
I can't wait to see it, because like, I'm at the phase of my life where I'm a buyer for this product, because there is not anything like it in Raleigh right now. And I'm at the phase of life where I have a child at state, and I have twins that are seniors, and we don't really need this big house anymore, and we don't really need all the yard work, and it's kind of becoming a pain, right? And every time you walk in the door, something's broken, because we've been in our house for 17 years. So it's where I'm looking at this going, gosh, that could be a great place to land and be able to live a little bit differently than that single family home, but not have to trade the amenities on the inside that we're used to.
Yeah.
I think, again, being part of that neighborhood as well, you're not giving up anything that you would in your single family house. You walk out on the same street, hit the same sidewalk, get all the beautiful walks, all the green places for kids to play at different playgrounds in the neighborhood, things of that nature. So it's it's a special.
You know what you're
special
leaving
opportunity.
behind is a lot of lawn maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of pains you're leaving behind. So tell me a little bit about the homes that you have in Birney Park.
Yeah. So we've got our first main offering is our centerpiece condominium building called the Brightberry. It's an 18 residence building. It really is a marriage between the best of Fairview Row and the Wade. It brings the same 3-story scale of Fairview Row that people love with a lot of the amenities at the Wade that kind of create that lifestyle. You have homes in the Brightberry that range from 1,700 to 2,700 square feet. They are all we really focus on the functionality, and we want the room sizes to be what you would find in a new single family home. And the same, we've got large residential windows on multiple sides to pour light in, all the finishes and features and the crown design and cased openings that give you the feel that you're in a new single family home. But one of the unique things as well is when you walk out your door, we've got great amenities that you can plug in when you need, such as a fitness studio inside the building. We've got a club room that people will use from, going down to read the newspaper to playing mahjong to renting out and hosting a function or having a building function where they can entertain guests and show them where they live. In addition to a rooftop terrace where people can go and watch the sunset, or they can, again, reserve it and have a function up there and have building functions. And it really gives a sense of community and a lifestyle of, I'm really excited because I'm great friends with my couple of neighbors, and every Wednesday night we're going to go to the roof
It's easy
and
to
have
get
a glass
together.
of wine.
Yeah.
It's easy to have a glass of wine. It's easy to go down to the club room, and I'll tell you, the club room at the Wade, that is such a great space. Like it's not overly sized where you feel like you're in this massive room. It's real cozy. It's almost like being in somebody's living room.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So I'm excited to see. So 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. Where are you guys from bedroom spaces?
Yeah, we start at 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, and go up to 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, plus a den in the Brightberry. And then we additionally have some city homes, which really we think are new to Raleigh and really are envisioned by what you would find in New York or Boston or Old Town Alexandria, that are single family home replacement size homes. They're being built in partnership with John Sanders, who's a
Love that.
fantastic high-end custom builder, and they range from 4,000 to 5,500 square
incredible.
feet. And they truly are for someone that wants that lifestyle, but wants everything that they've got in their current single-family home. And so those can go up to 4 bedrooms.
I love that.
So,
I think, too, the thing that needs to be pointed out is 1,800 square feet is a really great size for a 2-bedroom condo, right? Yeah. That is very rare to find. But it gives you all the spaces you need where you don't feel like you just have a kitchen and family area together. You get a little bit of additional legroom.
Yeah, we've always had in mind, again, someone who's probably lived in a single family home and used to that type of experience. So you can certainly build a nice 2-bedroom condo in 1,200 square feet, but it's going to have, smaller spaces like you would expect in a big city. These are really, living rooms that feel like your living room and kitchens that are like your kitchens, maybe even better than your kitchen because it's a brand new house designed out the way it is, but full-size pantry, walk-in pantries and laundry rooms and powder rooms. So they just give you a sense of space that they live a lot bigger.
They live a lot bigger, and I love the windows in the kitchens that you guys really thoughtfully do. And I do think that word thoughtfully, it carries through all of your projects because you just feel like it is a house. You would just never know. So passing down family values is really important to you. And seeing you here with your son and seeing you from the time you were in 4th grade, it's really wonderful to see. So what does it mean to you to get to work with your dad?
It means everything. I mean, it's just, it is funny because growing up, my idea of what he did was awful.
It's totally different.
Because every time that we would go anywhere that wasn't Raleigh, we would have to stop at 15 new neighborhoods on the way to Florida to stop and take pictures of what I'm like, why are we taking a picture of this gutter?
No, Dad,
like, what does
no.
it do? And then as you get older and you look at somewhere like Fairview Row and you realize, I'm like, all those details, a lot of them were because of what we did and growing to appreciate that. And also, growing to understand that it's a more complex business than taking pictures. And my skill set, there were areas that I could fit well in, but it's really special because I just see the impacts of the projects that Beacon Street has done already and their impact on Raleigh, and just getting to be a part of that going forward, and just continuing such a great legacy that started, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
He's one of my best friends,
Aww.
and it's special.
So all you Coley kids out there, listen up. When we stop and make you take photos of everything, and your dad wants to go look at every pool and every lazy river and every sidewalk and every tree, just bear with us because we do have a plan.
Amen.
So what does it mean for you to get to work with James?
Oh,
Did you ever think this would happen?
Maybe.
Hope.
I mean, there's always a hope. I can't say that too much. My daughter Elizabeth will think that I'm trying to rope her in, but we've always, our family motto since our kids were little was be together. We enjoy each other as a family, and so if we can find a way to compatibly work together, and James and I have started off on a great foot. James, wrote, why do you want to do this? To build beautiful places with people that are your best friends.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can trust one another. We've got great partners in our business, Scott Dixon, Justin Heim, James Stevenson, other people that are really just important to us, part of the family. And we just love being a part of, keeping Raleigh soul intact.
Growing and with soul intact,
That's
I think
right.
is a huge thing. So what does the future hold for Beacon Street? Where are you guys going next? I know you got a lot of projects on your website.
Yeah, when you're a young developer, you're like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. How am I going to get an opportunity? That sort of thing. And then probably like most people in business, after establishing a track record, you're not hunting maybe in the same way. There's more people that are recognizing that you would be a good match for a piece of property. So Country Club Homes, the redevelopment of that, where Birney Park was one of those examples where we were asked to join and be a part of the neighborhood, which was a real honor to do that. It's a special piece of property. I mean, if for people that have been in Raleigh for a long time, Country Club Homes were these one-story apartments, and my parents lived there, and my sister was born there.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people have ties to this, and it meant a lot to the whole community that it'd be done well. So there's, in an old neighborhood like Hayes Barton, or even these other ones around town, Boylan Heights or Person Street in Oakwood, it doesn't feel like there's anything that's an opportunity, but there's always a few nooks and crannies that everybody's fine with being redeveloped. They know they're probably going to get redeveloped, and so we just constantly keep our eye out. Several of our projects we talked to people for almost 20 years before they came to fruition, so we're in it for the long haul.
So where can people find you?
Yeah, so if you Google Beacon Street, you'll find our website or Instagram. And for Birney Park specifically, you can go to birneypark.com, which has a tremendous amount of information on the project, the residences, floor plans, etc., or at Birney Park Raleigh on Instagram.
And we'll link everything below in the description. So if you're having trouble, just click on it and it'll take you straight there. You've got to check out Birney Park and definitely get to know Beacon Street. Thank you both so much for being here. This was such a great conversation. I could talk to these two for like hours and hours and hours. So I hope all of you out there have gotten something from this. You definitely want to check out any of the projects that Beacon Street has going because they're going to do an incredible job for you. And if you are thinking about making a move in the Raleigh area or into the Raleigh area from out of state, we want to be your relationship real estate partner. We would love to help you find your slice of heaven right here in the Raleigh that we know and love. And it's obvious that Jim, James, and we all love it here. And the whole message of this show is to introduce you to the people, places, and the businesses that you need to know in Raleigh. So thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of The Best of Raleigh, and we'll see you next.
All right.